Marrow here. Islamic Day of Prayer, a deception. Recently in Washington, D.C., approximately 3,000 Muslims gathered for the first Islamic National Day of Prayer. Interestingly, Edina Lekovic, Lekovic, said on Fox News this was a prayer for Islamic unity. And that's all it was. It was not a day of prayer for the United States of America. It was not a day of prayer for the victims that have been murdered by Islamic Muslims, both in the Afghan, the Iraq war, in Indonesia. It wasn't a prayer for those Christians that were murdered in Pakistan and whose 140 houses were burned to the ground. In Saudi Arabia, to convert from Islam to another religion, you have the penalty of death. And this is basically true in any Islamic nation that's dominated by Islam and Muslims. If you become a Christian or if you're an atheist, then you will be tormented, you will be threatened, you will be persecuted, and you will be killed. If you're a Christian in these countries and a Muslim and a Christian apply for a job, the Muslim gets the job and the Christian doesn't. And if you are poor, then they try to make you even poorer because you are not a Muslim. In other words, Islam is a religion of forced conversion. Since the days of the false prophet Muhammad, and Muhammad was a false prophet. The Quran is not a holy book. It is a book that primarily tells about the conquest by aggression of non-Muslims. Allah is not the God of the Christians and not the God of the Jews. This is a false God. And you see, at the present time in America, we can say that. We can present the facts and speak the truth. But in Saudi Arabia, you cannot do that. If you speak against Islam in Saudi Arabia, you will be killed by the government. The sentence is death. If you speak against the Quran in Saudi Arabia, you will be killed. To do that is death. And if you speak against Allah, you will be killed. The sentence is death by law. It's not an imaginary thing. It's death because Sharia law pronounces that. I've said this before in previous tapes. No born American can convert to Islam because he becomes a traitor to his country. In the mentality of these deluded people, they think you are an infidel dog if you're not a Muslim. They think that any nation that is not a Muslim nation are infidels. I have met Muslims in London. I was doing business with a man who came from, I think it was Yemen, and he had his wife with him. I went to shake her hand and she would not shake my hand because she did not want an infidel to contaminate her. That's the kind of things that these Muslims believe and practice. And any Muslim that says he believes the Quran and does not believe what the Quran says, that any Christian or Jew that dies is converted into a monkey or a pig. That's why they don't eat pig meat, because they don't want to be eating a Christian or a Jew. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not normal thinking, period. And we haven't even touched on how they treat young girls without any thing to deaden the pain, and they castrate that part of the body of a woman, a girl, that helps to stimulate them, to excite them for a sexual relationship. Islam dominates women. That's all they do to women. They beat them, they dominate them, they kill them. Even recently in Afghanistan, a law was passed before the election to get the votes of the Muslims, that a man could withdraw food from his wife if she did not perform his sexual desires. The woman is nothing more and nothing less than a baby producer. And these young girls that have this castration when they're young, and they grow up with that, and that's not in the Quran, by the way. And I repeat what I've said so many times, and I'm going to continue to repeat it as long as I live, and these videotapes, I hope, will perpetuate these truths. In the day of prayer in Washington, D.C., the first day of prayer for Islam, if you notice, the women were not with the men, and they won't be with the men. They are totally dominated, subjugated, and they're treated lower than a camel or goat. Ladies and gentlemen, this prayer in Washington, D.C. was nothing but a deception to try to show the American people that these people who gathered are freedom-loving Americans, Muslims, and that they also believe in prayer. The only problem is they prayed for Islamic unity. They didn't pray for the United States of America. They didn't pray for our men that are fighting and dying in the wars around the world. They didn't pray for the women who's had themselves castrated as young children by this Sharia law. They didn't pray for the Christians that were murdered in Pakistan recently, and they didn't pray to change the Sharia law that if you convert to another religion in any Muslim country, that you would not be executed. It is a deception, nothing more than a deception. Islamic Day, National Day of Prayer, what a joke.